a story, all of you, a story about these signs and the children that carried them. Back in 1903, there was a woman known as Mother Jones who helped workers organize themselves to get paid more money and have a safe place to work. And children were a part of these workers. A lot of these kids didn't go to school at all. Instead, they worked long days at dangerous jobs at the factories. And this woman named Mother Jones, she thought that wasn't right, that kids would have to work like that. She was stern and she was loud, and powerful people were afraid of her because when she saw something that she felt wasn't right, she did something about it. In 1903, she was in Pennsylvania when she met with a group of people who worked in a factory making fabric, like for the clothes that we wear. And they decided to go on strike, which means that they refused to work until their bosses started paying better and making their workplace safer. She noticed 10,000 children were part of the strike. That is a big number. Children as small as you. Yeah. Can you imagine, instead of going to school and playing with your friends, that you would work from sunrise to sunset working on a factory machine all day? Yeah. And Mother Jones also noticed that many of these children had bad injuries because of the machines, and many of them looked like they weren't getting enough food to eat. And Mother Jones thought that wasn't right. But the owners of the factories didn't seem to care, and most of the other people didn't care either. So Mother Jones decided she was going to do something that made people care. And so she organized all these children and their parents to march from Pennsylvania to New York City. It took 300 of them 3 weeks, and when they stopped, people would feed them and listen to their stories, and they held up signs when they marched. What do you think their signs said? Yes, these signs say exactly the things that those kids' signs said over 120 years ago. And so they would even chant these simple phrases, saying them all together to make them heard. Let's practice that. Which sign do you think we should chant?
We want recess. We want.
Well, that's not one of the signs. Do you think, should we do the we want to play one, since that's the most fun? Can I see it again to see exactly what it says? We want time to play. Is it okay if I hold this up for everyone? All right, we're all going to work together. Are you all ready? We want time to play. 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 That is pretty good, y'all. Did that work for you? Yeah. Yeah, maybe we can all have time to play today. So the mill children did just what we did, and they did it for many days and many miles. And when they did, people started to listen, and people started to care. They marched all the way to the president's house, and more people paid attention, and more people started to care. Newspapers and university professors and preachers began to talk about child labor, all because of these marching children. And the year after that, a group of official people got together to figure out what they could do about child labor because they made enough people care. And the year after that, the state of Pennsylvania, where it all began, fixed some of those child labor laws, though they still weren't very good by today's standards. And year after year, states have improved their laws about how much kids could work and where. And 30 years after that, there was a different president who passed a law so that all the kids would stop working in the factories and go to school and learn instead. And you know, sometimes school is hard, but it's way better than working in those factories. So I want you to know, and I want all of you to know, that even when we're very young, we can make a difference in the world, and that we should never forget our own power. Does that sound good to you? Do you want to keep a sign? Do you want to keep a sign? No? All right. They're just my little cardboard painted signs. Thank you so much, and you may go back to your seats. You want to keep it? You can. This week and every week, we return over and over again to our beloved ritual of joys and sorrows. If you want to shine a light on your journey, you can share a joy or a sorrow in person by using the candle cards like these that are located on the back table. Or if you want to share a joy or a sorrow from distance, you can email me at minister@hvuuc.org. And we have a couple things to recognize today. We start by recognizing Lesbian Visibility Week, which ends today. The organizers for this year's week say, "We dream of a world where we can see each other for who we are and embrace what makes us different. A world where our community doesn't define our unity through our shared oppression, but through our ability to come together in joy and in solidarity." And with joy and solidarity, we here express gratitude for the women in our midst who love each other and themselves. We also recognize the power and importance of laborers in our lives today. Those who build our furniture and fix our roof, even when they fix our roof over and over again. Those who service meals and care for our children. Those who labor in the weather, and those who create physical things with their hands, and especially those who share this space with us on Sunday morning, who pause their labor when their schedules allow to build community with us. We are better for your presence with us. And today, we want to recognize our religious education teachers. Last night, they had their appreciation dinner, and we do appreciate the ways that you all have nurtured our kids and families this year. We've had 19 committed and dedicated religious education teachers and backups this year, and we're grateful for every single one of you. I imagine some of them might be out since they were here for dinner last night, but if you are one of our religious education teachers and you're okay being recognized, I'd love for you to stand up and let us thank you at this time. Thank you so much. We also have some candle cards. One from Ellender, who has a lot going on in her life right now. She shares that daughter Serena is healing and off of the meds for her heart, so that's great news. She shares that dad is in skilled nursing for physical therapy and hoping to come home soon, so that is excellent. And some less joyful news is that her brother has terminal cancer, and we're expecting 6 to 9 months for him. I am so sorry. And a joy from Liz. I passed my Ed TPA, and I am officially a week away from my master's degree. Congratulations. So we come, bringing all that we are, all that we hope for, everything that we carry to this table of joy and sorrow, community and care. If you wish to light your own candle, approach the side of the table that is closest to you, and the closer candle keeper will assist you. Please light the candles on the back of the table first so that no one has to reach out over an open flame. And if you wish for us to light a candle for you, please raise your hand until I acknowledge you, and I will light a candle for you. And our community is so much larger than just those of us who are in the building this morning, and so we light a candle for those who are not physically present with us, but are ever in our hearts. For all that remains unspoken in our hearts and minds.
So, May 1st marks the global celebration of International Working Class Solidarity. Demonstrations organized by various groups such as trade unions and revolutionary political parties. They commemorate the historical struggle of the international working class. The roots of May Day in the United States can be traced back to events in 1886. Where a series of strikes and protests for a shorter workday culminated in the tragic Haymarket Square incident in Chicago. Despite initial setbacks, the struggle ultimately fueled a triumph for workers worldwide. And here I shall briefly outline the overview of what occurred in this period. So in the 19th century, the United States underwent rapid industrialization, leading to immense wealth accumulation for the capitalist ruling class. However, conditions for the working class were harsh, with long work days ranging from 12 to even 14 hours and work weeks spanning 6 to sometimes 7 days. Efforts to reduce the workday started to gain momentum, with notable victories such as the 10-hour workday achieved by workers in Boston and Philadelphia around 1835. The struggle persisted through economic downturns, including the Depression of 1837 to 1841, and saw some progress with the average workday eventually reduced to 11 hours by 1860. The push for an 8-hour workday intensified during the U.S. Civil War, and even Karl Marx recognized its significance. He said, "Out of the death of slavery, a new life at once arose. The first fruit of the Civil War was 8-hour agitation." The National Labor Union, the first nationwide labor organization after the Civil War, advocated for this cause, leading to legislative victories in several states and for federal workers in 1868. However, setbacks during the Depression of 1873 and 1879 hindered that progress. In 1884, the Federation of Organized Trades and Labor Unions of the United States and Canada designated May 1st as the date to crystallize support for the 8-hour workday. The May 1st, on May 1st, 1886, a strike saw thousands of workers across the country participating all at once nationwide, with significant demonstrations in major urban industrial centers like Detroit, New York City, and notably Chicago. The events of May 4th, 1886, at Haymarket Square in Chicago garnered worldwide attention. Following clashes between workers and police, someone, who's still unproven who exactly, threw a bomb into the crowd, resulting in casualties on all sides. Subsequent trials led to the arrests of hundreds of workers, and 8 suspects were eventually put on trial. Their names were Albert R. Parsons, August Spies, Samuel J. Field, Michael Schwab, Adolf Fischer, George Engel, Oscar Neebe, and Louis Ling. All were convicted, despite the fact that none of them were actually present during the incident and no hard evidence was ever brought against them. 4 of them were hanged, 2 got life sentences, 1 got 15 years, and Louis Ling, who was only 21 years old, ended his own life before sentencing. This signaled the ignition of nationwide repression against the general labor movement. But despite these challenges, worldwide solidarity emerged in support of the Haymarket defendants, with rallies held all across the world. Fearing this widespread popular support of labor organizing, U.S. Congress designated the first Monday in September as Labor Day for the U.S., effectively severing ties to the international working class and burying the memory of what had occurred in Chicago. Nevertheless, the Haymarket incident elevated the U.S. working class onto the global stage. The American Federation of Labor's announcement in 1888 of enforcing the 8-hour workday starting May 1st, 1890, resonated worldwide, sparking numerous strikes and demonstrations across Europe, Latin America, and Asia. It wasn't actually until 1938 that the U.S. Congress officially established the 8-hour workday. But today, May Day stands as a symbol of the ongoing struggle against the capitalist system, advocating for workers' rights and social justice worldwide. The labor movement is often characterized by its music, and there's often a story behind that music. Which Side Are You On was written in 1931 by Florence Reese, who was the wife of Sam Reese, an organizer with the United Mine Workers in Harlan, Kentucky. During the Harlan County War, also known as Bloody Harlan, the mine owners hired the sheriff to break into Reese's home and terrorize his family to intimidate him. But this made the Reeses even more committed to union organizing, and Florence became inspired to write this song.
Which side are you on? 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 Come all of you good workers, good news to you I tell, of how the good old Union has come in here to dwell. Which side are you on? 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 My daddy was a miner and I'm a miner's son, and I'll stick with the Union till every battle's won. Which side are you on? 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 say in Harlan County there are no neutrals there. You'll either be a Union man or a thug for J.H. Blair. Which side are you on? 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 Oh, workers, can you stand it? Oh, tell me how you can. Will you be a lousy scab or will you be a man? Which side are you on? 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 Don't scab for the bosses, don't listen to their lies. Us poor folks haven't got a chance unless we organize. Which side are you on? 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 Which side are you on?
Since May Day is International Workers' Day, even though it did get its start here in the United States, we wanted to highlight the worldwide impact of the day. Last year, 2023, was a big day for May Day. For many, it was the first year in several that people dared go out in large groups. And the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic raised enough social and economic discontent that it motivated people to really take to the streets. Here were some of the biggest rallies in 2023. In France, thousands gathered to protest pension reform laws that would change the retirement age from 62 to 64. The pushing back of the retirement goalpost is a labor concern happening in more countries than just ours. In Germany, the German Trade Union Confederation, the DGB, said 288,000 people took place in 398 May Day events, where the attention was laser focused on the right to organize. The head of Germany's industrial union, IG Metall, said, "We will not tolerate any restriction of the right to strike. Full stop, finish, period." In Turkey, protests were huge and centered around the grossly unequal redistribution of wealth in favor of the wealthy and the banks that happened during COVID-19. The total net profit of the Turkish banking sector increased by 366% in 2022. Yeah, the annual inflation rate for the country is over 110%, and an estimated 90% of the population lives below the poverty line. They came out in droves in 2023. In South Korea, tens of thousands marched against high inflation and long working hours. Their government was moving to push the cap of working hours a week legally allowed to 69 hours a week. We did the math, and that is horrifying. But a younger generation pushed back with these protests. The problem of overwork is so severe in South Korea that they have a word in their own language for death by overwork, guarosa. Man. In the Philippines, thousands marched, calling for job protections and an increase in the minimum wage. The concerns about minimum wage are everywhere, on the international scale and here at home. Locally, I personally know people who are working 2 minimum wage jobs that equal far more than 40 hours a week and still can't afford rent. Minimum wage is a big deal for everyone right now. And in Indonesia, the protests focused on the job creations law, which protesters argued would benefit business at the expense of workers and the environment. One protester was quoted as saying, "The job creation law must be repealed for the sake of improvement of working conditions. It's only oriented to benefit employers, not workers." And while these 6 labor-oriented hotspots have some of the most interesting stories, May Day actions were truly everywhere last year. Chile, Canada, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Greece, Iraq, Lebanon, Taiwan, everywhere, all across the world last year, workers lived into the values expressed by the great visionary and labor organizer, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "Freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor, it must be demanded by the oppressed." As we shift our focus back to the experiences here in the United States, we know that our Unitarian Universalist principles have a lot to say about the labor movement. Our principles of the inherent worth and dignity of every person calls for wages and working conditions that create the opportunity for all people to live in dignity. Our calling for justice, equity, and compassion in human relations amplifies the cries for justice and equity for workers all over the planet. And our acknowledgement of the interdependent web of life means that we cannot, in good conscience, prosper while others suffer. And there's more than one way to highlight the struggles and resilience of people working for a living. NPR.
1, 2, 9, 2, 5, go!
It's enough to Now, I know that's going to be a pretty difficult act to follow. But now that we've gone through the history of the holiday and the international aspect, we're going to talk a little bit about labor at home. Now, we've seen some incredible shows of labor power in the past few years. For example, we had Striketober in 2021, and then the Strike Summer of 2022. It's clear that labor power is making a massive comeback, but only about 10% of the US workforce hold union membership as of 2023. That number is really low, so I kind of want to frame us up with what is the point of a union? Unions are a way for the working class to protect itself. Unions serve as a body for oppressed workers to take a stand and fight back against unfair and unsafe working conditions imposed by the bosses. A great example of this is rail work. In 2022, rail workers threatened to strike for a multitude of reasons, the main one being their extremely strict attendance system and lack of paid time off. This system punished workers for taking time off for any reason, including illness, vacation, family health, and to avoid what would have been a devastating strike, unions were forced into an agreement to keep the system running. This agreement did end up meeting the demand for a salary increase, but only gave workers one additional PTO day a year, which was quite the concession from the 15 they were demanding. Several months later, in early 2023, the tragedy in East Palestine, Ohio unfolded, the cause of which was mainly attributed to reduced time for safety inspections, something the major rail companies have been shortening from 10 minutes down to 2.5 in an attempt to get trains moving faster. Now, without stronger unions, the workers have been unable to push back against unsafe practices such as this one. Being wildly overworked and having your safety sacrificed in the name of profit is not unique to rail work. Arguably, it's a feature of all work in our system, and that is exactly why unions are so critically important. Now I want to bring us a bit closer to home. The South is a region with rich labor history, but it is also the home of brutal repression against labor organizing. Some of the most prominent examples of such are the Battle of Blair Mountain and the brutal West Virginia coal wars. Today, there are plentiful unions down south, but a few examples of these would be the International Longshoremen's Association, the Bessemer Amazon Union, and the Union of Southern Service Workers. These unions are changing consciousness on a regional scale, and we're going to focus today on the United Auto Workers and how they recognize the incredible potential of Southern labor as a dominant force in the labor movement. As the UAW finalized their newest contract, workers in 9 union plants in the South looked at the UAW's massive wins and thought, wow, I'd be way better off in a union. And they immediately started reaching out in droves trying to get in contact with the UAW. And the UAW heard that call and pledged to invest $40 million in new organizing in the South. Unlike the days of old, the UAW held true to their word. And once their contracts were ratified, the UAW launched an organization drive at all 13 major auto assembly companies in the South, making up roughly 150,000 workers. With the massive interest in building up EV manufacturing plants, the UAW is trying to get in on the ground floor with their organizing efforts. And Shawn Fain was quoted saying, "When we return to the bargaining table in 2028, it won't just be with the big 3. It'll be with the big 5 or big 6. And just last Friday, the Volkswagen's only U.S. plant in Chattanooga, Tennessee, voted successfully to unionize under the UAW. And this is historic because as the 2 previous union drives failed at this plant, this one succeeded with overwhelming approval. Now, the problem seems to be that state leaders want the cars made in their states, but they don't want to pay for it. They've been heard saying a successful union drive will, quote, stop this growth in its tracks to the detriment of American workers. But I mean, seriously, to whom is a 25% raise detrimental? To whom are safe precautions detrimental? If you're a worker, these are massive wins. The only losses, the only detriment, is to the bosses. And we've been left at the will of our employers for far too long. And it is past time for us to bring democracy to the workplace and have a say in how we work. How many times have you been on the job and thought, well, if we did it this way, it could probably save some time, some money, some effort? And either management rejects this idea or you don't even bring it up because you know it wouldn't be implemented. Encouraging the freedom to speak out about work conditions and bring positive change to the way we work is central to the message of May Day. That is why May Day, or International Workers' Day, that is what International Workers' Day is all about.
Thank you, George, for sharing your time and expertise with us. Thank you, Alesha, for organizing this service with all of your passion for this topic. And thank you to the amazing musicians who contributed to today's service. Thank you so much. Let's extinguish our chalice with words from the Unitarian Universalist Association's 2017 Statement of Conscience on Escalating Economic Inequity. We believe that our worth and dignity is inherent in our humanity, not dependent upon any economic status. We will all live in more abundance when our economy connects human gifts with human needs. People are prioritized over profits when the moral statements inherent in budgets implement Unitarian Universalist values. Money should be a tool to serve the collective good, not an end unto itself or a measure of success. Words and deeds of prophetic people challenge us to confront powers and structures of evil, such as inequity, with justice, compassion, and the transforming power of love. We are called to be in solidarity with the most vulnerable, disenfranchised, and oppressed among us. Our prophetic call is to speak out against toxic ideas and falsehoods that divide us and pit us against one another, rather than bringing us together in love. Thank you for being with us today. We are going to have the briefest of coffee hours today to give you a chance to get a refreshment and take a bathroom break. And then we would like to invite everyone who is a member of the congregation to come back into this room and to participate in the democratic process by voting in the annual meeting. We have a bylaw change to consider. We have a slate of nominees for the board to consider. We have a budget to consider. This is the vital work of our community. So if you're a member of the church, please stay. You are eligible to vote after you have been a member of the church for 60 days. So if you joined in March, you are most welcome to attend to see how your church works, but you're not going to be able to vote this time. This is also the first week that we are beginning signups for the summer religious education program. During the summers, our religious education program shifts to being standalone, intergenerational sessions where people from the congregation teach the kids about something that they're passionate about or lead them in a fun activity. To give you a feel of what we're looking for, in the past, we've had Dutch oven cooking, geology, building birdhouses, a surgery lesson that was super cool, nature play, astronomy, and much more. If you've got a weird special interest, this is your chance to share it with a captive audience. Yeah. The sign-up sheet is in the Fred Ballroom. And or you can talk to our Director of Religious Education, Justin Ridley, who's raising his hand right there for more information. Next weekend is full of opportunities for fellowship and learning here. Friday night, the Cups group is having a Beltane ritual here, and the women's group is having a gathering offsite. Saturday, the music committee and Macho are working together to put on the best coffee house this church has seen in years. Yeah, they're excited. I'm excited. It's going to have the music of Andrew McKnight and food provided by the men's group. And also, next Sunday after church, there will be a screening and discussion of the film Under God, which is about faith-based initiatives to support abortion rights. So that's a lot of cool stuff going on. I couldn't give you all the details up here, so please go check out the events section of our website for more details, food information, suggested donations. It's a lot. It's cool to be a part of a church that has this much going on. So our closing song is also printed in your bulletin, and it is Solidarity Forever. In 1915, organizer Ralph Chaplin wrote this song when he was a journalist covering the Paint Creek, Cabin Creek strike in West Virginia. This song has been widely adopted by all unions and labor movements and was given extra popularity when it was recorded by well-known folk singers like Utah Phillips and Pete Seeger. As a church, we do our best to build solidarity, both within our walls and outside of them. And in order to do that, we need your financial contributions. As the plate passes during the closing song, we hope you can make a contribution to continue our efforts as a transformative community. Do you want us to rise and sing with you all for this one? Please rise in body or spirit in solidarity.
That's banjos for you.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Good union makes us strong. When the union's inspiration through the workers' blood shall run, there can be no power greater anywhere beneath the sun. But what force on earth is weaker than the feeble strength of one? For the union makes us strong. It is we who plowed the prairies, built the cities where the trade dug the mines and built the workshops and the smiles of railroad laid. Now we stand outcast and starving amidst the wonders we have made. But the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong. They have taken untold millions that they never told to earn. But without a brain and muscle, not a single wheel can turn. We can break their haughty power, gain our freedom when we learn that the union makes us strong. In our hands is placed a power greater than their hoarded gold, greater than the might of armies magnified 1,000-fold. We can bring to birth a new world from the ashes of the old, for the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us strong.
One more time.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. For the union makes us
Thank you for your generosity and your solidarity this week and every week. May justice lead us to the calling of this moment. May wonder meet us right where we're at. May we discover our collaborators and our companions, and may love guide us on our journey to transformation. Blessed be. Amen. Go in peace.